Good morning, and welcome to the First Parish Church of Stow and Acton, a welcoming and spiritual community. My name is Anne Sadler, and I am one of the lay ministers here at FPC. I would like to apologise for the delay in starting this morning, and I also want at this time just to remind you that there is a memorial service here at 2, and so coffee hour and anything else going on needs to finish by noontime today. For those visiting FPC for the first time, we welcome you. Please let us know you are here by filling out one of our visitor information cards in the pews, which you can hand to an usher or drop in the plate. Our minister, staff and board are listed on the front of the order of service. Please feel free to ask me or any of these people for more information. If you would like a large print order of service or hymnal or an assisted listening device, please ask the ushers. Our assisted listening devices are small radios. Anyone is welcome to use one of these to listen to the service from another space in or around the building. Nursery care is available during the service. K to 5 children usually attend the first part of the service and leave for classes. Once a month, and today is the day, we have a children's chapel where children begin their time in the community room. For youth programming and other information, see the bulletin. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in our fellowship hall, which is down the stairs or elevator at that end of the building, or in a breakout room if you're joining us online. I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements in our order of service, and also invite you to check out our webpage where you can sign up for our newsletter and email alerts. In particular at this time, I'd like to draw your attention to the beautiful flowers which are in memory of Maddie Harvey, and they've been sent by Ralph Edwards and Friends of Maddie. After the service today in the community room, Reverend Susan will be available for any insights that you would like into the world religions curriculum we're doing, and also to meet with you. A quick plug for airport rides. This is the time of year when lots of people are going on vacation, and as a fundraiser here at FPC, we offer rides to the airport. There is an email which you'll find listed on the church webpage. And finally, at the end of April, we have a church retreat at Ferry Beach, and you will be hearing more about that soon. Our minister, the Reverend Dr. Cindy Landrum, is currently on sabbatical. During this time, the Reverend Susan Sahusky Brown is our sabbatical minister, and we're delighted to have her with us today, but she's currently downstairs in RE assisting with Children's Chapel, but she will be back later in the service. And now, let's come together for a time of community, singing, and worship.
Sweetness and march.
Our opening words are adapted from UU Minister Reverend Kirk Lodeman Copeland. We are called today to gather for a time of worship and reflections on becoming a beloved community. We are called here today, and we're invited to set aside those distractions and anxieties that may keep us from touching the deeper wellsprings of renewal and love. We are called here today to seek a deeper understanding of living and being. We are called here today to share comfort with others and be comforted. And now I'm going to ask June to light the chalice for us. And the chalice words are adapted from the Reverend Sam Trombone. May the light of life be kindled in our hearts and minds as we meet together this morning to celebrate the joy of human community, to celebrate the joy of this community as we seek wholeness and connections. And now rise as you are able and sing number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Please remain standing and join me in the covenant and affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Praise
we would like to acknowledge that this service is being held by a community that gathers on the stolen traditional lands of the Massachusetts, Nipmuc, Pawtucket, and Wampanoag people. We pay respect to all those Indigenous peoples who nourished this land before us, and we strive to do likewise. This is a time in our service when we share our joys and sorrows, and I'd like to invite Anne Sadler, our lay minister, to help us with that.
I will ask Jameson to light 2 more candles, one for the cost of war, which has been our tradition to light since we adopted it from the UU Church of Marlborough and Hudson, and the second candle for the joys and sorrows which have not been shared aloud but remain in our hearts. Thank you.
May I invite you into a moment of prayer. Let us pray for this coming of spring, the rebirth of the earth, the rebirth that hopefully will give us energy to continue our lives and continue to face all that we have to. I would like also to have us remember and pray for this lovely, lovely community of care, concern, welcome, and the way that it reaches out and tends to one another. It truly is a blessing. Let us not forget ever those who have gone before us. Let their memory live in our minds and our hearts and on our tongue as we speak of them. May promise of new life and new births, weddings, and the promise of all that is possible be in our hearts with gratitude. For all our staff, for Meg, who is ill, whose presence is so much missed, for Chris and Rayler and Chris, who has pitched in and done so much. I want us to be grateful. For our guest speakers who come here to share with us so that we can learn ever more. Even in our unknowing, we are grateful for all that is around us. And most of all, we pray for strength and courage and wisdom to be the best that we can be, to be mentors and models for our children, to be examples of strength and love for all those who come here needing, and to do the best that we can with who we are, because that is the gift that we can give to the world. And I say, Amen, and may it be so.
Please rise in body and spirit and sing Loosen the, sorry.
All right, I'm just coming in to give a little introduction to say what we'll do with this. So there's 2 parts. We're going to sing the Loosen part 4 times, so we get to know it. And then we'll switch to the second part, the Holy Breath part. We'll do that twice. And then after that, you can choose which part you want to sing. You might have a favorite, or one that's easier for you to sing or fits better in your voice. So, and then we'll stop at some point.
Let go, Hello, I'm Shayna Gar, here to read something written by Kellen Harkin, an American mystic and poet. She had a mystical experience at age 21 when visiting Israel, and she has been writing poems ever since then. It's when the earth shakes and foundations crumble that our light is called to rise up. It's when everything falls away and shakes to the core and awakens all of our hidden ghosts that we dig deeper to find once inaccessible strength. It is times when division is fierce that we must reach for each other and hold much, much tighter. Do not fall away now. This is the time to rise. Your light is being summoned. Your integrity is being tested, that it will stand more tall. When everything collapses, we must find within us that which is indomitable. Rise and find the strength in your heart. Rise and find the strength in each other. Burn through your devastation. Make it your fuel. Now is not the time to be afraid of the dark.
Sorry about that. This month, we share our weekly offering with RIA House. RIA stands for Ready, Inspire, Act, and you can read more about this organization on their website, readyinspireact, all one word, .org. The morning offering will now be gratefully accepted.
Thank you. That was beautiful. I do hope you got a chance to read the words because those words are incredibly meaningful. And when I saw them, I thought, well, that fits perfectly with the topic I want to talk about today, which is about the ancient women's voices, the Aztec goddess. Using the Aztec goddess as motivation, I think. So I first heard the story of the Aztec goddess when in Mexico, when I was on my first sabbatical in 2008. And when I first heard and was told that story, and when I told it back in Leominster when I came back about her, it was a story of religious beliefs and it was a cultural story. That's what it meant to me at that time. And I had not thought of her in the context that I am now until I had a disturbing dream shortly after the presidential election this past November. My dream. After my dream, she has become really a tool for me to use to confront the social political issues facing us. So I'm an archaeologist in my dream. My job is to find ancient women's voices. And I find a place to dig, and I'm digging, and I'm digging, and I'm digging, down through Trump's open, yammering mouth. Deeper, 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 I'm digging until he is no longer heard or seen. Instead, I hear ancient women's voices telling me stories of wisdom, telling me tales that I could use to confront injustice. And a thought from that dream, there were many. I hope none of you are Jungian psychologists analyzing my dream right now, or you might come and haul me away. But a thought from the dream is that though I might feel I have been silenced, if I listen, if I truly listen, I can find strength, hope, and wisdom in ancient stories. Because the reality is that ancient women's voices cannot be silenced forever. Ancient voices cannot be silenced. Now, I want to tell you that this dream is familiar to my experience during my recent near-death illness. I was very sick in January, and I would doze off and awake out of this deep, deep dream with this one thought. If I could get back into that dream state where I was, I could eliminate Trump and his minions. This is how deeply, deeply our psyche has internalized the issues that are going on. This is how deeply, perhaps with you, that this is embedded into my very psyche. The need to stand for injustice, the need to stand against oppression, the need to listen to other voices to help me. And I know that you are working very tirelessly to help one another, to reach out and do the things that we need to do to speak for those, for the stranger and the other. So that story of the Aztec goddess, she's sometimes known as Our Lady of Guadalupe, is one such story how ancient wisdom can be tapped in to overcome our current situation. So I'm going to retell her story, but I'm going to weave thoughts about oppression and repression through misappropriation and abuse of power into my reflections. She, Our Lady of Guadalupe, first appeared to two young poor youths, San Diego and a Sister Maria. Not only did they see her, but she spoke to them, telling them what was needed for her and the people to rise in glory again, the indigenous Aztec people to rise again and overcome the oppressive state they were subject to. And she said, listen, my children, my youngest children. The people I trust to take my message and carry out my plan are many, and they aren't the people at the top of the social hierarchy. They are you. And you, I want you to go to the bishop tomorrow, and I want you to teach him, and I want you to tell him, and I want you to have him understand and do my bidding, which is my desire that he build a temple, the temple Teocalli. And that begins the introduction to the people, to the Virgin of Guadalupe, the Aztec goddess. She is said to be the same Aztec goddess whose name is Tan-At-Zin, whose image was destroyed, whose artifacts were buried under the earth, and whose temples were devastated when the conquistadors and the Catholic Church arrived in Mexico. The Spaniards who came to Mexico became the oppressors of the indigenous people. They burned the relics, the shrines, and engaged in mass murder of those who wouldn't convert to Catholicism. And that conversion of the indigenous people was bloody, and it was unsuccessful really until the lady appeared to San Diego. He listened to her because she was brown-skinned, she spoke his language, not Spanish, of the oppressor, and she instructed him, a young man not part of the power structure, to go and tell the bishop to build her temple right on top of the spot where she had appeared and spoken to them. Now, this same bishop is the one who's known for having had thousands of women who had denounced, he had denounced them as witches, and he had them burned at the stake. This is the same bishop who personally destroyed over 500 Aztec temples and 20,000 idols in his zeal to convert the people to Catholicism. That was not the way to win the hearts of the people. Juan Diego is being told, you can do this. I have trust that you can do this. And what I want you to do is I want you to walk into the palace of the bishop and you tell him, I want a temple on the very spot where you destroyed my shrine, where you destroyed everything. That Aztec goddess has been called the snake woman, the eagle woman, the war woman, the woman of death and destruction, and now the compassionate woman. So what I got to wondering about us, you, have you ever been in a position of powerlessness like Juan Diego, when you knew that you had to confront the systems of oppressions, that you were the one who had to speak truth to power, no matter how difficult it was, that you had to find your voice, and that you were being driven by a force greater than yourself, a source that was truth and justice and integrity? If you have, you kind of know what Juan Diego was going through, what it felt like for him. And you know what? He didn't go just once. He went 3 times to confront the bishop. He went 3 times to the seat of power, and he demanded something. And it's never easy, is it, to listen to that voices inside that require us to speak out. And it is never easy, is it, to confront and talk with those who can so easily hurt or deny us. But our hope is that maybe someone like the perfect maiden the forever whole and lady princess, the eagle goddess, might accompany us as we confront and talk. And she said, I'll listen. I will listen. I will listen means I'll hear what you're going through. I will listen to what you have to tell. I know what you have to do, and what I'm asking you to do is hard. I know it's near impossible, but I know you can do it, and I'm here with you to help you. And together we can make a new thing. We might even transform life. And that's what the vision of the Aztec goddess did for the people of Mexico. Now, in our iconography, she resembles the mother of Jesus, often called, the Virgin Mary. How many of you are recovering Catholics? Yeah. So you know of the iconography that I'm speaking of, and she resembled her, right? But her strong message and her strength and her words remain a beacon of hope for us in today's political climate. As I said, it took Juan Diego 3 times to go to the bishop and convince him. The first time, well, the bishop listened and dismissed him. And the second time, the bishop said, I have to have proof. I have to have proof from you. When I have that proof, maybe I'll do what you want. And that final proof was when he returned to the palace and he presented the bishop with flowers picked from the hill where they first encountered the goddess. The first time that bishop listened, sent him away. I don't care what you have to say. The second time, the next day, the bishop ignored him all day long and the staff ignored him all day long, and he hung outside, determined, like we have to be determined when we're sent to confront power. And finally, the bishop said, well, if you prove it to me, then I will listen to you. He finally asked for that proof, and when they were taunting him and trying to stop him and ignoring him and shutting the door in his face, he persisted. How many times have we attempted to get near the truth, to approach others with our reality when they have pushed us away, or worse, put others in our way to deny us, to avoid us? How many times have we had to work within those oppressive and powerful structures that shut us down, that closed us off and kept us from decision-making powers? How many times have we had to do that? And yet together in community, we can persist, we can overcome, we maybe even can transform things. And then, Juan Diego could have not done any of this. And for ourselves, how many times have we shut ourselves off from others, kept ourselves and us away from harm and hurt, closed our mind to the possibilities that could bring us closer to knowing something about ourselves? How many times have our own insecurities, fears, and anxiety caused us to be unavailable? And all this and more was what Juan Diego and the society was going through following the conquest of Mexico by the conquistador, Cortez and others. On that third visit, John Minnie, in his book, The Aztec Version, writes, when Juan Diego opened his white wrap, many flowers cascaded to the ground, and the precious, revered representation of the forever whole and perfect maiden appeared, and her image was imprinted on the cape that Juan was wearing. And that took place from December 9th through 12th in 1531. After that final encounter, the bishop finally built the temple, and Though many became Catholic, it was a much different religion than the Catholicism that one knew of. It was a feminine-based, it was an earth-based, it was a indigenous religion, mystical and spiritual, and rooted in long-standing beliefs in the practices of the people. And it was based on community and family. Says the poet and author Ruben Martinez, she gave them a subversive pathway from the patriarchal, Jesus-centered European church toward an Indian, Mexican, matriarchal spirituality. Now, when my spouse and I were in Mexico, we took a bus trip inside the country, away from the tourist area. We were in Cancun and had seen Cancun and Playa del Carmen and Tulum, and we headed off into the more remote areas. And I noticed that the women all wore stoles called rebosos. This is a reboso. They wore them over their shoulders or their arms or head. And when that first image of the Aztec goddess was seen, she is shown wearing one. It is a practical, beautiful piece of clothing worn by the women. One taxi driver told us that they sometimes are so fine that a couple can pass one through their wedding ring as they're getting the celebration of marriage done. Can you imagine weaving anything that fine? But it's practical, it's warm, it's large. It can hold babies, it can hold groceries, it can hold laundry, it can hold a whole world of practicality. Functional. And those are the attributes associated with the Virgin. And most of the women in Mexico wear them. And there are shrines still where the people go for a once-a-year festival. Of course, the largest is Mexico City, where she once appeared, but there are shrine and altars all over. And pilgrims journey from far and wide to visit. Travelers come to the hill where she first appeared, like our Muslim friends are doing with Ramadan. They're journeying. And people traveled far and wide to celebrate. Drumming and music for dancing, incense and singing, flowers, lots of flowers, roses in particular, and marigolds. And they all gather to celebrate beauty and truth, sincerity, authenticity, and life. Life, the promise that is made when those flowers were picked in the middle of winter on the hill where she appeared. Now, spiritual journeyers during this time approaching their shrine would approach on their knees. And when they leave, they would back away step by step, saying, "Adios, Madre de Cleo," goodbye, Mother of Heaven. The sick and the healthy in all community would come to pay respects and to honor the promise that she had told Juan Diego. "Listen, my child, I will listen to you." And they ask her for food and shelter, jobs and good health. They ask her to bring peace to all lands torn by war, to ease the difficulties of individuals, and to unite families torn apart by strife and world turmoil. And they ask for world harmony and unity, and for the strength to bring justice to the world, for the wisdom to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of all persons. Do you have a place where you go to find your spiritual center, to connect with your ethnic, cultural roots? Do you have a spiritual center where you can listen and be listened to? Now, the image of the Aztec goddess appeared not to the rich, not to the powerful, not to one in high positions, but to those who were oppressed. Her appearance and promise to listen have helped to give voice to millions since 1531. We could do worse than to reconnect to our roots, to find an inner voice that promises hope, and to speak from a place of truth, goodness, hopefulness. May she inspire your thoughts in the days to come, and may you find strength and wisdom as we face and do what we are called to do. May it be so. And if you would join us in hymn number 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
We
As we prepare to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I chose with this Irish blessing. And of course, life is very complex, isn't it? Because St. Patrick, too, was one of those oppressors. But his words still give us some hope and language. May there always be work for your hands to do. May your purse always hold a coin or two. May the sun always shine on your window pane. May a rainbow be certain to follow each rain. May the hand of a friend always be near you. May God fill your heart with gladness to cheer you, and may God hold you, each and every one of you, in the palm of God's hand. So be it. Amen. Blessed be. Please greet your neighbor, say hello to one another, and after we have our prelude.